Hello everyone, it's Easy Paint with me on a Sunday and this is episode 10. And because those of you that have looked at my Substack will know, I'm like, yes, it's March and we have some sunshine and we've got these little snowdrops and daffodils that are coming out. So I thought I would do something a little bit on topic and do these little snowdrops today. This is where I've used an old painting or a tryout of a painting. And so this is my one that I'll be working from. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do it on this this card here. And I've already sketched my drawing out. I will put a link to the sketch if you want the sketch. I will put that where is my hand? I will put that down below. Yeah, I'm going to make that into a nice little card that I might send somebody. But first of all, I want to show you the colours that I'm going to be using. So, without further ado, and I'm using watercolour paper. It's a knot or a cold pressed. So I'm going to be using my size 8 Escoda Perla, yeah, brush for this. The colour that's in the background there is this lovely Sleeping Beauty turquoise by Daniel Smith. So that's the first colour that I'm going to be using. I'm also going to be using some of the green gold, which I think might also be Daniel Smith's, but I'm not completely sure because when I set this palette up, I forgot to write whose paint it was. I just wrote the names. I'm also going to add a bit of Serpentine, definitely Daniel Smith, and a bit of the Green Apatite, and even a bit of the Cascade Green. So it's a bit like all the greens today, isn't it? Apart from Sleeping Beauty turquoise. So we've got those. I will also be using some bleed proof white for the snowdrops themselves. I think that's it. Did I add any other? Yes, I did. What did I use? I used burnt sienna. Was it burnt umber? No, I think it's burnt umber. Let's try again. Yeah, I used burnt umber as well. Just down the bottom here. So those are our colours. We know what colours we're using. You could, let's help you out a little bit here. Green gold, burnt umber. I think you can find those in many brands of watercolour paints. A turquoise would do. If it's a bit of a darker turquoise, you might want to lighten it up a little bit by adding more water. And then the only other thing I've got are these 3 different greens. So find 3 greens that take your fancy, basically. So just in case you haven't got the colours that I've got, that's what we'll be doing. So let's pop my little reference picture up there. Move the envelope out of the way. And I think, will you fit on there? No, you won't. I want a bit of a border, so I'm just using a cutting mat. and I'm going to place it on my cutting mat and find some washi tape or sticky tape or whatever tape you prefer to use, so that we can get a nice border on this. I think in most cases, not all, but in most cases, having a little border just really does make a difference. So I think it's worthwhile doing. And it doesn't really take that long to do. Okay. So there we have it. And we have, just move some of this a bit, so that we can get it all in maybe. Maybe I'll do it that way. Yeah. There we are. Let's make a start by doing our turquoise, or sleeping blue turquoise in my case, and we will put that all around the flowers. However, what I'm going to do first is paint with water. So I'm just going to wet my paper and go in and around all of these lovely snowdrops. Now you'll see that I'm actually using water that isn't 100% clean. That really helps me to see where I've put my water. Another little tip, I suppose, for those of you that like tips, if you want to wet your paper and you're having to go round things like I am, if you use slightly tinted water, then it will help you to see where you have already painted. Let's come over this side, and that's because I want a nice wet in wet effect with my sleeping blue turquoise. Okay, and if you lift your paper up, you should be able to see where the shine is. Just making sure that you have wet paper. Okay, I think that will do nicely. Now let's get some of our Sleeping Beauty turquoise blue. And because the paint will only go where the water is, it means that we don't have to be quite so careful. We still need to be careful, but not necessarily quite as careful as we might. Now, where we've got the white petals of the snowdrop, that's where we want the sleeping blue turquoise, or whatever turquoise you're using. That's where we want it to be its darkest. So I will be coming, once I've gone round everything, I will go back into those areas while my paper is still wet, and I will be making sure that those are darker. So I guess really this is probably the trickiest bit, getting this background in. So take your time on this. Oh, I've gone quiet with my concentration around these tricky bits. Okay, so I have, oh, that's shining, isn't it? I think maybe we will get rid of the light. I'm not sure that that's helping today because I've got sunshine, and I probably need to move it up a bit more, don't I? Let's move you up a little bit more and put you over there. There we go. Right, so I'm going to go back in and make sure that around these petals is quite dark. So I'm just adding a bit more colour around my petals. And I think that the Sleeping Blue, or Sleeping Beauty, sorry, turquoise works really nicely with all those greens. And then we'll have that a bit darker up there. And this is where having a brush that goes to a really nice point makes a difference. So I've got some nice darker patches. And we'll just add a bit of interest with a few splats. And this has to dry. Oh, I've missed a bit at the bottom here. Let's just bring some of that down. So this has to dry. Just going to spread that out a bit more before we can then go in and do the rest of our painting. So back in a moment. And we're back. So this is now dry, and I've got a nice varied background here, which is what I wanted. So let's move on and do our stems and croaky boys and our leaves at the bottom here. So for the stems of the bluebells, I'm going to use this fresh green gold, and I'm going to pop that in. And of course, because we've painted round everything, we may need to do a little bit of tidying up later. But I will probably do that with coloured pencils. Okay, so we've got our little stems in with our green gold. Now let's turn to our serpentine, I think. And we'll pop a bit of that on the palette. And we can start to get these leaves in. And the nice thing about the serpentine is that it's kind of two-toned in any case. And you'll notice that I've missed out doing that one because I am trying, I do want them to blend in, but I don't want them to blend completely in and become a complete blobby mess, so to speak. This one. And then we'll do this one here. So I've kind of done every other one almost. So we've got some of those leaves going on. And then I'm going to bring in some of the green apatite and mix some of that into the serpentine. And then I'm going to do the leaves that are in between. I might need a bit more of that. Make that a bit darker. So with this painting, you might want to take a bit more time. Getting these leaves and things in. And there we've got some nice variation going on. And then with my green apatite, yes, green apatite, I'm just going to add a bit of a darker blend on one side, just to darken that up a little bit more. Okay, so we've got our leaves in. Next we need to get these little, I'll call them little cups, and we can just use the colours that we've pulled up already on our palette for this. So I might just have to twiggle that round a touch. And we want our little stem. So this is very different to my usual quite loosey-goosey landscapes. But sometimes it's nice to do something that is different. So we'll get our little caps on. There, we've got our little caps. Going back to the green gold, I'm just going to, on two of these, we've got like a little green, I don't really know what you'd call it, like core of the snowdrop. So I'm just going to get those in. And I'm going to dry this and then do the snowdrop flowers, petals themselves, and then do all of the what I call finishing touches. So back in a moment. Right, so that is now dry. And I'm going to move on to use my bleed proof white. Now you could just leave the white of the paper, but as most of you know, if you know me well by now, I quite like using bleed proof white. And the bleed proof white can help to give us quite a nice edge and cover up any pencil marks. Let's just get that a bit better on the end there. There we go. And then move to my next one. If you haven't got a brush with a lovely point like mine's got, then you might want to go down in size to do the snowdrop petals. Okay, so I've done those as carefully as I can. They need to dry so that we can get some, if I bring this up, you can see we've got these little lines that we might want to bring in. While we're waiting for those to dry though, we can use some of the burnt umber. And we can just get a little bit of ground in. And with a damp brush, we can just help that to mingle a bit more so that we've got that there. So I think that's going quite nicely. I've got a Derwent Lightfast here, which is called Olive Earth, and I'm going to be using that to just tidy up, you know, round some of these stems, and I might even use that to do some of the lines in the snowdrops. So I'm going to sharpen that, but I think I will also probably need, let's find a nice dark green. Dark sap green, I think. So let's just sharpen these two so that we can use these to do some tidying up and defining, I suppose you would call it. So there's one. And there's the other one. Okay. So very carefully, I'm just going to go around the edge of these little, and I might even, well, I am just going to give them a little bit of texture as well. And then we'll do the same with this one. And, you know, if you haven't been able to get up as close as you wanted to with the background turquoise, this will help to fill in, you know, some of those little gaps. And I'm just putting these little kind of notches that I noticed are on the stems as they go up. Right, let's do a little bit around these. On these leaves, just to help them stand out a bit more. And add a little bit more texture. So I'm literally just using it to refine my drawing, if you like. And maybe where my hand wasn't quite as steady as it might have been, I can start to, you know, make some distinctions between these leaves. Don't want to go too berserk with it, but I think now we've got a little bit more. Actually, that probably needs to come down there a bit more. Now that I've looked up on my screen there, just defining those leaves a little bit, and you can even do the same with your little caps, just to define them a bit more. Okay. Let's dry the white and finish that off. Right, that is now dry. So I'm just going to use this olive earth again and just get this line in, but I don't want it to be too defined. And then we'll get a little bit of a line in there and a line in there, I think. So yeah, not hugely showing particularly, but just enough. And then I'm going to take my smaller brush. I'm going to go down to a size 2 round, and I want to get some of these grassy bits going on. And I use the Cascade green for that. I'm just gonna mix it with whatever's on the palette, so that it's not just Cascade green on its own. It's tying in with other colours that I've already used. And then I quite like how this one kind of came up and round, so I'm gonna do that one again, have that coming up. Add a bit more of the Cascade green in there. Might darken that up a bit. Yep. bit better. And then we'll have one that's coming off there, like that, just so that we've got something else going on in the background here. Blur the bottoms of those in a bit more. A bit better. Okay. Do I want to do anything else? Do I want to have almost some white bits in the background? Oh gosh, this could be a disaster. You might want to leave yours here. But I'm going to really water down some of this bleed proof white, and I think I'm going to add a few. I was going to do something else, but in fact I might still just water those down so that it gives the effect that maybe somewhere in the background there are some more snowdrops. Yeah, just adding that white in there. Right, let's dry that off. There we are. Let us take our tape off. Okay, we'll move that out of the way. So that we are less distracted. So we have got a couple of little snowdrop pictures here. My original one I've just done. And yeah, slightly different sizes, you know, where I've drawn them, so even the drawings haven't come out exactly the same or exactly the same size, but yeah, I'm really quite happy with that as a concept, and I think that might make a nice little Easter card even. So yeah, enjoy. I hope you have a go. As I said, I will put the sketch below, and yeah, I hope you're all enjoying these little not paint calm, that's what I did last year, easy paint with me. If you have a go, then don't forget you can put your image, your painting, on my Discord server. That's completely free. There's the chat function on my Substack. That's completely free. Doesn't cost you anything to subscribe to my Substack, only if you want some of the added extras. So just a little reminder there. All right, give it a thumbs up if you can, and yeah, leave any comments. I answer all of the comments that I get at the moment, and I love receiving them. So take care everyone, until next time.